I remember going up to this patient and I was talking to him and he was like, I have a toe. And so when I'm like thinking about, I'm like, you have no arms and legs. Like, what do you mean you have a toe? Like, I was just like, there's no way, there's no way.
Wait, what? Wait. Before we get started with our episode, we're going to hear from our sponsor. There is no easier ad than talking about a product that I actually like and actually really use. This episode is sponsored by Skims, and I'm going to be honest, I was so hesitant at first. I don't usually talk about things like bras and I try not to do that. But the moment I received this product, it just became so obvious to me that this whole brand is all about comfort. And that I can get behind for sure. And again, at first I was hesitant because I don't like talking about undergarments online. And let me tell you, I don't know what magic they put in the fabric, but it's so comfortable. I don't know how to emphasize. I forget it's on half the time. They come in so many different sizes, so many different colors. So if you're interested and looking for some comfort, shop Skims Fits Everybody collection, available at skims.com and in Skims stores. Available in sizes extra, extra small to 4X. And after you place your order, be sure to let them know that I sent you. Select podcast in the survey, and be sure to select my show in the drop-down that follows. Please do that. I really like them and I want to keep working with them. Now let's get started with this week's episode. So, Jenny, how long ago were you a nurse?
So I still work as a nurse, actually. So
just not in the, what kind of nurse are you now?
So now I do research. So
Oh,
I'm like just picking up like little kind of research jobs, like giving patients like medications, like, which I love because I think, new like medications trying to like treat, right now it's for stroke patients. So like a new drug to like help stroke patients. Ones that have had like clots that had cut off like blood flow to their brain.
Fascinating.
Yeah, I'm working with like a research company. So I just go into the patient's home, introduce myself, check their vital signs, ask about like what drugs they're taking, kind of like a medical history, and then I give them the drug, take some like labs from them, and I say bye-bye.
My mom does that with a research company, but she does like the behind the scenes stuff with dementia patients.
Yeah.
Like she's been doing a lot of research with, I don't remember the company name, but interesting. But your home base like forever ago was like surgical nursing.
Yes.
That's so funny. Okay, I want to hear. That's so funny because like when I was doing research and like having people send stories, everyone's like, I left after 6 months. I hear that's like a cutthroat.
That's usually, I remember them telling us, like I remember starting my first day of work and they were like, we were all sitting, it was like all of the new grads, we had just gotten hired by my company, and they were like, yeah, so like a lot of you guys are gonna like drop out at the 6 months and that will be like your time. I remember sitting there and be like, that is not gonna be me, like no.
It feels like the first episode of Grey's Anatomy. Only some of you guys will be here after so many times.
It's not like some stuff in Grey's is not like exaggerating at all. Like some stuff is, but like that
I will be asking you about that because I need to know for me. But I first want to know how did you come to decide surgical nursing was your passion, what you loved? How did you get into that sect of nursing? Because I know I've talked to a lot of different nurses, and I just love hearing all their different journeys. And then I want to just know afterwards, like, what made you leave? And then we're going to talk about your time there.
Yes, of course. So I did, originally wanted to go into pediatrics.
Really?
Which is crazy.
What made you want to be a nurse in the first place? Did you just always know?
I just always knew. It was so funny. When I was a child, I would put, Band-Aids on my moles and be like, ow. Oh. My parents would be like, child, like, what are you doing?
Would it be?
I know. I like the little Maddie knew who she was at a very young age. Yeah, girl, I was putting Band-Aids on random things that weren't even injuries, and I was
sweet.
Fixed it. So it was just I always knew. I was like, I'm not good at social media or influencing or nursing. I'm just gonna do interior design. But then I kind of got into nursing and I was good at it. So I was like, okay, I'm good at this, so I'm just gonna stick with it.
And you did nursing school here in Florida?
I did, yeah.
Okay. And you loved the program?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it's hard. It's really the toughest thing you can do. And pretty much every nursing school is tough. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
awful experiences.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I'll read the reviews on like my old like colleges, like Google. They're like, this place sucks. And I'm like, that's like every nursing school though. Like,
what is the process of going to nursing school look like? Like, what kind of classes did you take? How long was the program? Like, what did that journey look like?
So first, it actually started when I was like in high school because because I'm pretty sure for most places you have to become a certified nursing assistant first.
Really? Okay.
Because you have to have like some experience with like patients and stuff, and you have to have some either clinical hours or just get like your CNA license before going to school and stuff like that.
Okay.
I know some people had some experience in the medical field, but then I knew some people that also didn't.
Okay.
So, but I started personally just in high school. My high school had like a program where we could become like certified nursing assistants.
That's cool.
Which was crazy, yeah.
I love that.
It was called Nursing Fundamentals, and that was like kind of like what started. I like had the best teacher ever. She like changed my life. Like I still like talk to her nowadays.
How'd she change your life?
Oh,
I'm a sucker for good teacher stories.
Oh my goodness, yeah, I totally forgot that.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Teaching.
I know so many people forget.
I know,
like that
even
girl.
I forget. Probably
that girl was in charge of kids. What?
I mean, that's how I feel sometimes at work. I'm like, how am I in charge of these patients? Like, I am not even an adult, so I don't feel like. Oh no, but I mean, she was just. First of all, I love that she's very Southern. Like she was that Southern. Like she just had that Southern love but also like kind of tough love where it was just like really wanted us to succeed and kind of just like put her whole being into just like wanting her students to succeed, which was cool. And like she took a pay cut doing what she's doing. She doesn't really get paid that much for like teaching.
What was she doing before?
I think she was like a director of nursing of a hospital. Like she had a big management position, and
she
then
gave that up to
away.
like train future nurse.
Yeah, because she was like, I just want to like teach, and it wasn't even like registered nurses, like baby nurses. CNAs just
people
going
excited
in.
to go into the field.
Yeah, because all you're really doing as a CNA is like helping patients with like activities of daily living, which is like kind of like a big part of the patient's life. You know what I mean? Like brushing your teeth, like getting clean, like getting your clothes on. That's all what a CNA does. So that's like the backbone of like nursing. So it's like teaching baby nurses how to like do all of that. You know what I mean? That's like her passion. So I think that it kind of like reflected onto me or something, because I was like, I would love to be a teacher, dude, because like it's awesome. You get to teach people your skills and your gifts. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the good teacher stories. It just warms my heart. Okay, so she really got you into wanting to be a nurse. You loved it. You fell in love with it. You went to nursing school. What did that look like?
Yes. So when I moved to Florida, I was like, okay, trying to find a nursing school, and I ended up finding a good one in Tampa. And what was good about them is they didn't have like a long wait list.
Oh, great.
I remember I went to USF, and I was like, I applied, and they accepted me, and they're like, okay, like that's great, like you're accepted, but it's gonna be like a few years until we can even let you start the program, because they had so many people like backed up, and I was like, I don't want to wait like 2 years to get my nursing degree. So then I had to kind of go to a private like my college I went to was private. So I did have to pay a little bit more, but I didn't have to wait years, you know what I mean, to get my license, which is amazing.
The program that I went to for teaching was also a private program, but like it was just a really good program. And I was like, I'm going to do this for 30 years. I want to learn from the best. And here we are.
yes. And here we are.
You go ahead.
I know. I mean, a degree is amazing. Like you can do so much stuff with it. So
it's always good to have like a little emergency plan. Just
and
in
like
case.
the experience of nursing school was like a whole. It changed my life, like honestly.
Can you remember like one specific example of something that you're like, oh yeah, this is what I want to do?
Oh my goodness, probably. There's just so many times, kind of innately always kind of been like, I know, like I'm in this, you know what I mean?
That so
probably
much.
like one time in nursing school like stuck out to me was we were in sim lab where you like have like a test dummy and you have to do like your teacher's like giving you a simulation of like what to do, and our patient was like having a medical emergency. And like blood pressure was crashing, like heart rate was getting low, and like all of us were just like, what do we do? And I was like, like supposed to be like nurse number one, so I saw like their heart rate dropping, the BP like going down, so I just sat and I got up on them and I started doing CPR on the dummy, and all my classmates were just like, oh, she's really going into the simulation lab, and I'm just on top of them like pounding on their chest like, let's go. My teacher was like, oh my goodness, she's really getting into it.
So that's the nurse I want saving me when I'm in trouble. I want that lady.
I hopped up on the bed. People were like, whoa, she's really, I'm like, yeah, guys.
No, but that's good. That's what I feel like that's what you should do. Like, if you can really feel comfortable getting into it on a test dummy, like, you know that when it's a person, like, you're not going to panic, you know?
Yeah,
like,
you're
you're
ready.
used to, like, going and doing the extraordinary measures. What's your go-to CPR song?
My go-to CPR song? Staying Alive will always be like the original one, but I think like Texas Hold'em actually by Beyonce goes to it.
I also heard, what is it? One of the Billie Eilish songs, Birds of a Feather, maybe?
Oh,
maybe.
Girl, that might be too slow. I don't know. Okay. Okay, might work.
Yeah, you know,
I might see it.
I think,
go.
but
I forget what like beats per minute has to be. It's probably about like 60 or something, 60 to like 120 probably.
I always just think of The Office.
That episode.
Oh my God, that scene is like the most chaotic, but like I love it.
Did you know they have the office for like healthcare workers now?
What?
Yeah, it's from the same producers.
What? Okay, what's it called?
Hilarious.
What is it
St.
called?
Dennis Medical.
Okay, I'm gonna have to write this down.
It is actually hilarious.
Do they have a Michael Scott?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
honestly,
I
would
love
say,
it.
but the Michael Scott is like a woman this time.
I love it.
She's the CEO of the hospital, and she's because
it.
I low-key want to go into management in the hospital. Because people always think I'm so weird for that. They're like, those are like the worst people in the hospital.
But you
I'm
need
like,
good people to go into those jobs. Like
exactly.
I see it as like the administration. Like too often, people that go into administration are the ones that just are sick of and tired of being in the classroom, but are so into education, like retirement-wise and investment-wise, that they don't want to leave and go do anything else. But that doesn't always mean that's who you should have leading the school. So like it's good when someone who really should do that and is in it for the right reasons wants to do that job personally.
Right.
But did you have to decide on surgical, like the surgical unit, while you were in nursing school, or did that come after nursing school?
This is so funny because there's actually like a huge debate in nursing on this right now.
Okay.
Because there was kind of like after COVID, there was a huge switch. Because like traditionally, when you graduated nursing school, you'd have to start out on night shift and work nights, and you can even dream about getting a job in like any type of like specialty, like pediatrics or like NICU, like, oh, don't even think about it as a new grad, because it was like never happening. But ever since COVID happened, there was kind of a shift where it was like kind of more accepted that new grads were being brought into that field, and people were kind of saying it's okay for new grads to like start in specialty because it's traditional for nurses to start in medical surgical nursing and then go and specialize in like NICU or like OB/GYN nursing.
Is there a reason for like what's the reasoning behind it?
They just want you to get like your general skill set down, which is like understandable. I think it's a huge debate, but I think that if you want to go into like a nursing specialty, like, just go for it. You know what I mean? But I just started out in med surg because I to be honest, I didn't get accepted into pediatrics. I had a dream job I really wanted at Johns Hopkins in St. Pete, and they told me no. So
but like, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, me and my friend applied, and they both told us no. They were like, dreams crushed. She moved to Austin. I stayed here. I was like, well, I would just work in, medical surgical nursing. I will be fine with that. I'll
but
just
you ended up loving it.
I love it. I love the chaos of it.
So, okay, I was literally about to ask, what's your favorite part? And then you said that, and my ADHD was like, because I didn't take my Adderall yet today. Yeah. It's like always a theme for me. But chaos. So you love the chaos of it.
Yeah.
What? If you had, like, describe the chaos. I want to know, like,
just the drama.
I know that there's not a typical day in surgery, but, like, if you had to describe, like, what would that look like? Like, what did your job entail? What did you do for patients? What did your interaction with other nurses look like, or other doctors? What did it just look like working on the surgical floor?
So I had a really fun floor because we were called like an overflow floor.
Okay.
So we get kind of patients going to surgery, needing surgery for saying, or like they'll come to us like right after surgery.
Okay.
Or they'll just kind of have like really random reasons to be there. Like I remember multiple times, like for hurricanes, like having a patient and like their chief complaint was just like hurricane, like them needing a place to stay for the hurricane. I was like, all right, so no medical. complaints.
Whatever, that works.
Yeah,
you know?
so like a
That
lot of my
works.
floor was a little bit of psych too, so it was fun.
Interesting.
And
what is the craziest case you've ever seen?
probably I had this kid that was like, I just really felt bad for this kid because he was obviously like just in the streets so much. And he
Aw.
would come back. We had a doctor who was really wanting to like fix up his legs, do some skin grafts on them,
What was
like
wrong
get
with
him.
his leg?
I think he just something like I don't know if he had like been falling and like scuffing up his legs or something,
Okay.
like weird thing. But it's like every single time he'd come in, his heart rate would be like insanely elevated. And on my floor, we didn't have like cardiac monitors to monitor your heart. So I was like, I would always tell the doctors when he'd come in, I'd be like, his heart rate is so high, like it's in the 110s. Like, can we please like put him on a heart monitor, like AKA not on my floor? And they would just look at. I had one doctor like text me back and go, "It's called like drugs," and I was like, "Ma'am, I'm still concerned about
but like
this,
that doesn't
like,
mean
poor
that we still gotta
thing."
find a solution. Like we still gotta help him
Yeah.
out.
And that was one time, and then he stayed for a little bit, and then there was another time he came back, and he was in his room and everything. We're all good. We were having a good day. I was giving him snacks. I think his surgery was going to be like the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was sitting at the nurse's station, like finishing up some charting. I usually start my job around 6 or 7. So this was like around 3 p.m. So it was like more than halfway through my shift. I just look up and he's right in front of me, like changed out of the like gown. He like took his IV out. He put it like a Band-Aid on it, wrapped it nicely. And he's just like, "Ma'am, I gotta go." And I was like, "Is your IV out?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "Okay, like just sign this paper, babe, but like do what you need to do." But like didn't see him after that. But like just crazy stuff like that. I'm like,
what kind of surgery did he need?
a skin grafts.
I'm not a medical person.
Yeah,
What
it's
exactly
cool.
like is that?
So you can put cadaver skin from like dead bodies
Right,
on
right.
it, or take like a different piece of skin from you and then put it on. Or they kind of have, I've seen them do like some crazy, have like different like mesh materials that kind of like mimic kind of skin.
Interesting.
And stuff. So
is that helpful for like burn victims?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't get too much burn, but we just had we had a lot of vascular, like people with vascular issues.
Oh,
yeah, I had a lot of diabetics. I told people I'd take care of patients with amputations. They look at me like crazy, like,
"Oh wow,
that's insane." And I'm like, for me, it's like it was everyday
that's
thing.
like
know?
you're in surgery, like you're gonna cut people. That makes sense.
Yeah, toes, like feet, like.
Wow. Can you think of any
stuff.
other cases that like really stuck out to you as like, holy moly, this is like Grey's Anatomy in here?
Well, I was probably taught like the biggest lesson about like listening to your patients.
Okay.
It's so crazy important. Like,
yeah.
Which sounds crazy because most nurses are super keen. I think people forget like to like really like your patient is like everything. Like listen to them, but it's hard to get lost in the sauce of doctors and their opinions and
family members, I'm sure.
Family, and then oh my goodness. So I had this one patient. He had some disformities with like their limbs, and they were born actually without any arms or legs.
Okay.
And so we were caring for this patient. They had lived for a while. They lived in like a skilled nursing rehab, so he had been living there for a while. And the patient told me like they were going through a lot of pain, and all these other nurses too were saying that this patient was so mean, and they're like, this patient, he's so mean and being so mean to us. And I love the mean ones. Like when they tell me a patient's mean, I'm like, okay,
give me in there.
Yeah,
I want to hand at them.
Yeah, they're my favorite. I'm like, oh, like I just know it's love. It's just confused. Like they're just confused.
They're just in pain. They're in pain. Most of the time, they're just hurting.
That or they're hungry.
If I was in chronic pain for that long, I'd be a little mean too. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. But continue. Go ahead.
That's why, because I'm like sarcastic with them too. Because I'm like, girl, I feel you. Like if you're mad at the world,
we'll be mad at the world together. That's fine.
And I remember going up to this patient and I was talking to him, and he was like, I have a toe. And so when I'm like thinking about, I'm like, you have no arms and legs. Like, what do you mean you have a toe? Like, I was just like, there's no way.
We're gonna take a quick break and hear from our sponsor. Okay, I'm gonna be so honest with you guys. There is no easier ad than talking about a product that I actually like and actually really use. And I think it even is obvious to the audience because you can hear the customer service voice goes off and I just kind of talk to you guys. This episode is sponsored by Skims, and I'm gonna be honest, I was so hesitant at first. I've never tried them before, and I also am very careful to keep everything very brand friendly, and I don't usually talk about things like bras, and like I try not to do that. But the moment I received this product, it just became so obvious to me that this whole brand is all about comfort. And that I can get behind for sure. So this might be a little TMI, but I'm even so nervous saying it because I don't usually talk about this stuff. Y'all can tell from the content that I put out and like what I wear all the time, I'm all about comfort, okay? I hate bras. I hate them. They're so uncomfortable. And I can't just wear a sports bra with everything, you know? So I found those little, silicone cakes. And I've worn just those for most of this year. But the issue is they stick to you with your body heat. And when I get cold, I get cold. So especially in the winter, unless you're wearing something that's skin tight, they don't really stay, which is annoying. And then Skims reached out and asked if we wanted to collaborate. And again, at first I was hesitant because I don't like talking about undergarments online. And they shipped the product, and as soon as I looked at it, I thought, how is this little thing gonna fit on me? And let me tell you, this is the first time in I don't know how long that I've actually worn a bra every day for a week. I don't know what magic they put in the fabric, but it's so comfortable. It's so comfortable. I don't know how to emphasize. I forget it's on half the time. I ended up getting 4 of them. And I'm sitting here rambling because I'm not even reading off a script. I'm just telling you my experience with this product because I genuinely love it. The products I use are from the Fits Everybody collection. They come in so many different sizes, so many different colors. And as someone who's all about inclusivity, I just genuinely appreciate hitting the marks for all the different sizes and all the different nude tones. Because comfort should be for everybody, really. So if you're interested and looking for some comfort, shop Skims Fits Everybody collection, available at skims.com and in Skims stores. Available in sizes extra, extra small to 4X. And after you place your order, be sure to let them know that I sent you. Select podcast in the survey, and be sure to select my show in the drop-down that follows. Please do that. I really like them and I want to keep working with them. It's just so comfortable, and you guys know how I get about comfortable clothes. It's fine, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Now, back to the episode.
And then I started kind of doing like a head-to-toe assessment on this patient and saw that he had a Band-Aid, and I opened up the Band-Aid and there was their toe.
Wait, what? Wait.
So another nurse, like when this patient had entered the hospital, had put like a Band-Aid on this thing when it was really like a part of the patient's body.
Why? What did she think it was?
A wound or something. And I was like, no, this is part of the patient. And the patient was trying to tell me. But everybody
I have a toe, it's hurting, it's like suffocating in this bandage.
And everybody thought they were crazy and didn't believe them. And then I remember calling like the wound care nurse and being like, you gotta come look at this. Like someone literally put a Band-Aid over this poor woman or this poor person's toe.
Oh my God, that was probably so painful.
I know.
I would be mad too if my toe was sitting there like.
That's why I'm like, just listen to your patients. Like they're people.
I feel like just from like, again, I never worked in the medical field. My mom was a nurse. Lots of my ex-husband's family were nurses. I've gotten so many stories and I've talked to so many amazing people, and I feel like that work in nursing. And I feel like sometimes when you work in such a intense environment, especially when it comes to surgery and ER and things like that, you kind of have to desensitize yourself because it can break you so bad, and it can absolutely destroy you internally and emotionally and mentally. But at the same time, sometimes when you desensitize too much, you kind of lose the why every now and then, and it becomes a routine thing, and you kind of have to remind yourself, no, these are people. And it's like a tough balance. I'm sure it is.
Oh, that's why I had to take a break, because I had to take a break from nursing. That's why I'm kind of like, oh, I miss it now. But I genuinely had to take a break because actually a year ago I dealt with a patient like kind of dying on me. So that kind of like really affected me, which I'm like,
do you feel comfortable talking about that?
Yeah, of course. Because it's like I always thought like, oh, this is what nurses go through every day. When I went through it, I was like,
what happened?
I had kind of been like working with this patient all day. She was like, we had our family there. We were working on kind of like walking around the room and using, like different things, like
Was she
sitting down in the
unable to
recliner.
walk?
Yeah, but she was getting stronger, and we
Okay.
had her family there in the morning.
Was
We're
it
like
due to
walking
like a
around.
disability, or was it from a surgery,
They were
or?
super, just like elderly, like
Okay,
just,
okay, got it.
just kind of had a few issues. And they were kind of having like a few advancing like medical problems throughout the day that I was
Mhm.
kind of dealing with. So I had to like insert a Foley because they were retaining like urine really bad in their bladder. So just all these issues with them. But I thought the day was going great. I was like working really hard with the patient. And then I had kind of like worked with them and their family in the morning, like trying to get the patient to walk, get up around the room and walk around because I always try to get my patients up.
Yeah.
And that's why I would always have a lot of patient falls because I would always be trying to get everyone up. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm in the gym, I'm fitness girly. So I'm like, let's just get up and walk. And then sometimes people will buckle down on you. But that's what kind of happened this time. I was sitting at the nurse's station charting, as one does. It always happens at like the calmest moments. You get like a call bell and then like the craziest thing happens. You know what I mean? So like the patient's on their call bell and they just tell me that they need to like get up and move around. So I'm like, oh, of course, like I'll come in. So I come in, we like, do our same routine that we did earlier in the morning when they were there with their family. We got them up, and like as soon as I got the patient up, they just kind of like they're buckled in my arms and just slid. And yeah, we're just like, I lowered them to the ground and it was like black and blue, just gone. I was like, oh my goodness.
And she just was it like heart
just,
attack or?
yeah, because I don't know if you caught that I was saying I worked on a floor that didn't have heart monitors.
Yeah.
And the doctor came by and he was like, oh, there's just like no way like that we would have ever known, like if it was like pulmonary embolism, like a heart attack.
Anything.
Would have no idea, yeah, because we didn't have like heart monitors.
The equipment, and you can only do so much if you don't have the equipment.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so that was like, I did get the day off after that though. So
well, yeah, that's crazy that they would even allow not having someone hooked up to a heart monitor in a hospital.
Yeah.
That's crazy to
on
me.
my floor, yeah. I mean, we would check vital signs like every few hours.
No,
but,
yeah. But like, I mean, it's not your fault if the hospital doesn't give you the heart monitors. They don't give you the heart monitors.
Mm-hmm.
That's just crazy to me that they wouldn't
have
that for a surgical floor.
I know. Oh, yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, and well, because like, yeah, my floor, I'm like, that's why you got to be like really in tune nurse on that floor because you don't really have a lot of other stuff to rely on.
Wow.
Because our floor was kind of meant to just be kind of like a step between maybe discharge and a skilled nursing facility.
Right, okay.
Or like rehab. Like we were kind of supposed to be that rehab because this hospital was like a really old hospital too. Mm-hmm. And the part that I worked in was built in like the 30s, you know what I mean? It has so much history in St. Pete. But they had originally had my floor as like the skilled nursing facility in the hospital.
Okay.
So like you could kind of tell that it used to be that. So it was just very old unit, no heart monitor. We didn't even have like I think that was like one of the issues why we didn't have heart monitors because they couldn't like kind of get the signals to reach up to that part of the floor, like something about the wiring.
Wow.
Yeah, they didn't even have. So it's like those old hospitals. The thing cool about my hospital was like we really are one of the only hospitals in St. Pete that has like actual psych ward. That's like a lockdown unit for psych, and it was right below my floor.
My former mother-in-law was a psych nurse in a psych ward.
Yeah, and I love it. It was actually we call it like Warflex.
Okay.
And it was an old ICU. So I don't know if you know how like ICUs look with the glass walls. And then the nurses will sit in the middle. And then all the psych patients are in those rooms with the glass.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool until they start like writing on the glass.
Oh yeah. I heard a lot of stories from my former mother.
Crazy stories.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have. I've heard she got stabbed.
Well,
we
had one of our like physicians who like worked on our floor. We'd had like an attending physician who like every day he would round on his patients, and he was like the like internal doctor, so he would just handle their general things. He wasn't a specialist, but he would also do part of his time on the psych ward. And I just remember one day he came up to the floor and my charge nurse asked him like, hey, Dr. Blah, blah, like, how is your finger painter doing? And he was just like, and he's like a Cuban, like American, so he had a little accent. I love him so much. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, he's like, please no.
Painter?
Yeah, I was like,
what did they
we
paint
have
with?
Oh, girl.
Oh
I just love the term picture pain. And that's like a few months into nursing, so my like new grad self was sitting there like,
no. What did I get myself into? Oh,
I
no.
remember like nurses have the craziest sayings for things. I remember I was doing clinicals, like so I was still in nursing school, and I was in the ICU, and a patient had like passed away or something had happened, and one of the nurses told another nurse like that they got DC'd to JC. I was like, what does that mean?
Oh no, disconnected to
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, oh.
It took me a second. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, so that's what you're saying. Like, it's not because nurses don't have compassion. It's just we do this like every
Yes,
day.
it
It's like
becomes
tough.
normalized,
Yeah. So after
which is
that
so
thing
sad that it
happened,
has to. But at the same time, like you deal with really intense stuff every single day.
yeah, and you got to find a way to cope with.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like people in intense professions like that, like people tend to use humor to cope, and some people really need that, and other people like they don't understand it. But so you got to do what you got to do to survive in the job that you're at, and that just kind of is what it is. But can you think of anything that people might not, any misconceptions that people might have about surgical nurses or the surgery floor, whether it be like things that people just don't understand or people assume because of shows like Grey's Anatomy or anything like that?
A lot of the stress is on the nurses when really people kind of don't understand how bound to the doctors we are. So you feel like the messenger. Like I always felt like the messenger, you know, it's just like, I know this is really stupid, but like I can't do anything about it because like it's not really under my control, especially with like eating. Like that would be a huge thing because before surgery you can't eat, you know, and people would always like not understand, or they would love to have people on like a nothing to eat or like nothing by mouth order like for so long before surgery. And I just feel like, I know you're not getting the surgery until like 2 days till now, but right now I have an order saying I technically can't give you food, but like I can't do anything about that, but I understand that you're not gonna have surgery. And they will just, because when you're hangry,
Right, and you're hungry.
You are like,
oh yeah,
that Snickers commercial, those are not a joke. Like
no.
it's literally two different people. So that is like all like there's like a lot of the majority of surgical nursing is people are hungry, they're scared about to have surgery, they're worried, and I don't know, like I think what more people should know is that we take it really seriously too. Like we know that surgery is a big deal, so we just want to be there for people and make sure that they have a support system. And
absolutely,
that's what I always tried to kind of do for my patients that were having surgery and stuff, that like you're not alone, and
absolutely
just be there for them. So.
I feel like nurses to doctors is very similar to like teachers to principals. Like we're who the people see all the time. We're the ones who are like there with the patients and with the families most of the time. We're who they have access to. And so when we don't make the decisions, but when we carry out the decisions or let them know of the rules, like we get the crap for it. And it's like, I just work here, my guy. Like,
basically,
I don't
my favorite line was like, I'm just doing my job.
I just work here. Like and I know that the hierarchy between nurses and doctors can be really delicate sometimes. Like someone sent me a story. She was a surgical nurse, and she was a senior surgical nurse working with a new surgeon. I think it was a resident.
And they have these crazy like complexes, surgeons.
Yeah,
that's why I could never be like actually in the OR with them, because they just I could not deal with the drama.
I have two uncles that are surgeons. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. But one does neuro and one does orthopedics. That tells you everything you need to know. But anyways, she was working with this resident, and he was looking at this woman who kept claiming she had abdominal pain. And he was just kind of doing like consultation, looking her over, checking her out. And he was like, I think you're fine. I think maybe you have some kind of allergy. Maybe, I think you're fine. And the nurse kind of was like, oh, do you maybe want to check again? And he shot her the nastiest look. And he's like, nope, I'm a doctor. I know what I'm doing. I'm a resident for a reason. I went to medical school. I know what I'm talking about. She's fine. I told you she's fine. So that's what it is. She's fine. And he sent her on his way. And afterwards, the doctor found the nurse and was like, do not ever question me in front of a patient again. Like, that will be your worst mistake it'll be your worst mistake you've ever made, kind of thing. And like really threatened her. Literally a week later, the same woman comes in because she had an ovarian cyst burst.
Yup.
And he missed it.
Yeah.
And the nurse had suspicions. And she was like, she walked up to him and she's like, the next time I tell you something, you're going to listen to me. I don't care that you went to medical school because you missed that.
Yep.
I didn't. I know what I'm talking about. Like, I will make your life a living hell. Like, you gotta listen to me.
That part.
I don't understand the ego from it. Like, it's literally such common knowledge that, like, you don't piss off the nurses. I don't understand why so many people come into residency with this idea of, oh, nurses. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Also, you know that scene where people are like, don't like make the person upset who's making your food? Why do we not have that mentality about nurses sometimes? Like,
I don't understand.
Don't make the person. I have some people that will be just straight up so rude to me sometimes. I'm like, guys, I'm like in charge of your life or whatever.
Yeah, like you should totally
not
like
that I would ever do something crazy.
No, but like
wait, hold on.
Right. Like why would you ever that makes no
don't
sense.
Be, I'm
to
just
me.
a girl. I'm just nice. Like I'm just hey, it's just me.
You said that you could never do the drama of being in the actual OR.
Yeah.
Someone else sent me. I have a couple that are like similar, but like it's crazy to me. This woman was starting surgical nursing. It was her first few months, and she was in the OR with a surgeon, and he said, "Hey, can you hand me the clamp?" And she said, "Which one? We have 10." And he just kind of paused, and he looked at her, and he said, "I need the clamp that makes sense for what I'm doing." And she said, "Okay."
It's a surgeon response.
I am new. I need to know which clamp you want. We've got so many of them. I'm not a surgeon. Can you just let me know what you need? Like, I'll give you whatever you need. I don't know what you need.
A1 response, though,
right.
by the way.
Right. And he looked at her and he's like, if you don't know the differences between the clamps, maybe you shouldn't be in the OR. And she looked him dead in the face and said, you know, I'll admit I don't know the differences between all these clamps and what they're called, but it kind of sounds like you don't either.
That is perfect because at the end of the day, that's really what it is. It's like an ego thing,
and that's fine. Like it's okay that you don't know the name of something, but like if you need someone to assist you or help you, and like you also don't know what you're asking for, like chill out, my guy. Yeah. What is wrong with
that's probably you? Like the last story too. Doctors hate when they misdiagnoses.
Oh
yeah, they hate it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
When someone else catches a diagnosis and they didn't, ooh, child, you better run because it is crazy.
What are some other misconceptions people might have about like whether it's nursing or just medicine in general or anything like that? Can you think of any?
I don't know. I think or just like maybe or like the general public more about what they kind of think or like other nurses.
What was relationships with like the nurses in other departments like?
Right. We all were like, there's kind of like, it's just funny kind of how we are across different departments. My hospital didn't really have like an OB, but there's always apparent like drama between like labor and delivery and OB. Like they think that they're the most amazing top dogs. And then there's like CVICU nurses who think that they're amazing top dogs, but they're great, which is like cardiovascular ICU, which is crazy stuff. You're doing like insane hard skills in the CVICU, so we always just have like jokes that they're like think that they're like hot stuff and are like the best nurses in the world, and that they'll just be like, "Hi, I'm a CVICU nurse. Like, what's your name?" It's like, okay, relax. You know, that's like they make it their whole personality. Rightfully so, though.
Are there any departments that have beef with like surgical nurses?
Oh yeah, we have like the ER. That's probably like our worst. Like
really, why? What's the reason?
So for the longest time too, the ER before they would send us a patient, because that's how it kind of works. The patients will come through the ER. The doctors will determine what they need, if they need surgery, if they need to stay, and then they will determine what unit they get placed on. And so a lot of times the ER nurse will call the nurse on the floor before the patient comes up and give them a report and say, "Hey, this is Susan Smith, she's a 74-year-old female. She's here for gallbladder pain," you know what I mean? Something like that, which was traditional. Now there's always drama with like ER nurses sending up patients, not calling the nurses on the floor. These patients will just show up. But my hospital actually had a policy where it wasn't like a thing to give report. So the patients would just get sent to us, to like our charge nurse, and then just come up on the floor. I wouldn't really like get to talk to the nurse and get like a report of like what the patient was there for. I would just get to like look at their chart and then just kind of surprised when the patient got there. So there's like a lot of times where I'd have a patient, I mean, I had a patient come from the ER one time that was like full on like in a medical emergency, like crashing. I had to like call a rapid response.
And they didn't like, oh my God.
And I was like, how did this patient come to the ER to here? Like, they are like not even awake. Like their oxygen saturation was like below, like it was crazy. I was like, what is going on? And they just kind of showed up on my floor like one day like 4 p.m. I was like,
God.
Yeah, I was like, where's reports and how did this patient get here?
So that was like a crazy system.
Oh yeah, they just, I mean, the ER and like floor nurses beef is crazy.
Can you think of any times that you had like a major issue with another nurse?
Yeah, I actually had to talk to my educator about my charge nurse who's like bullying me.
What happened?
Yeah, so I like kind of experienced like a nurse bully because when I first started out on my floor, my charge nurse was like, the charge nurse at least that worked on that unit has worked there forever. And I remember my preceptor. My preceptor is like, he was a guy. So he's kind of like a very chill guy. Men in nursing are like the most chill people. Like they are so chill. They don't care about anything. But he was just like kind of telling me this is like her baby. Like she's very like type A personality, trying kind of like controlling. So like, you know, stuff like that. So I kind of had like a heads up about like how it might be, you know what I mean? But there's just so many times where I'd be kind of like asking just general questions and be like put down for it. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, why do you think it's this way like that? Like I remember one day I was trying to reach out to a doctor for one of my patients and like it listed like, you know, the attending physician as this one doctor. And so I called that number and I told my charge nurse like, hey, it didn't work. Or like they didn't pick up. Like, is this the right physician to call? And she was like, no, that's not the right physician to call at all. What? Like, why would you think that? I'm like,
it was on the list. Like, I don't, I'm just doing what I can.
Oh yeah, our system was like so bad with like updating the doctors, like what doctor was assigned to the patient when. And you know, when you're a baby nurse, it's hard to like figure that out.
Like,
and she was very keen. She had worked there forever, so she knew like what doctors worked when and who. So like she knew all that stuff I didn't know.
Well, yeah, because you're new.
Yeah.
Oh. I hear that a lot of different departments of nursing have kind of like an eat their young mentality.
Yep.
And I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that so much.
I know. I don't know why nurses like have that mentality.
Teachers do too.
Yeah.
A lot of teachers do as well. It's like really sad actually. And they wonder like, why is no one going into teaching? It's like many reasons. This is one.
I know.
Like,
and I
it's not
remember
a welcoming
always,
place.
like, especially as a student nurse, oh my gosh, sometimes when you go have clinicals, and it's like, you're forced to be there. Like, I just get told by my professor, like, go and follow that nurse for the whole day. Like, that's your assignment. And then you go up to that nurse, and they're like,
I don't want you.
Ew. So, like, that would crush me as a nurse. Well, I mean, not really. I would just kind of, like, go and do my own thing. Be like, fine, I'll go do my homework in the corner. Like, joke's on you. But, you know, it's, like, it's disheartening.
I know. This story's been told on the podcast, like, over a year ago.
Yeah.
And I think it was Jen Hamilton when I had her. I love that woman.
Yes, I follow her. Yeah,
wonderful.
she's a queen.
She had like the worst experience when she was new to nursing. I can't remember if it was nursing school or if she was a brand new nurse. I can't remember. It was so long ago. But where she was like didn't want interns or didn't want nursing students. Like they really had a bad eat their young mentality.
Yeah.
And so there was one patient who just started coding and they told her like, hey, go fix that, go figure that out. And she is trying her darndest, is trying to save them, is trying to do whatever. Like no one's helping her. She's freaking out because she doesn't know what to do. No one will assist her. She's calling for help. No one is coming. She's panicking and crying. It's like the first patient she feels like she's losing. And all of a sudden she looks around and realizes that all these other nurses are laughing at her. And she's like, what? And they're like, he's got a DNR, dummy. And she's like, you told me, what? And like they just thought it was so funny and like such a funny joke because they knew she wouldn't know what to do to save him because they weren't supposed to save him with the DNR, like do not resuscitate. And they just thought it would be
energy.
Yeah, it's so mean. It's so mean and probably so illegal. Like
yeah,
like so illegal. Yeah,
awful.
you can't. Sure, he has a DNR, but that doesn't mean that you can
let someone go and do that.
Yeah, no.
Actually. Oh,
no,
yeah.
to like them as they're dying.
Ooh, girl, if that was me, I'd be like, you messed with the wrong chica.
They literally, their punishment was to just not have nursing students or something along those lines.
Oh,
But that's what they wanted anyways.
Yeah,
so it's like,
they just
okay,
kind of like worked
whatever.
out anyways.
Like,
yeah,
people are just mean. But like, there's people like that in every profession. It's so sad.
Totally,
It's actually the worst. Can you think of any times where you had like an issue with a surgeon, like a doctor, or with a patient and their family or anything like that? Because I know that's like another whole thing is like sometimes patients or patients' families, they don't understand the medicine world. And so like sometimes people fear what they don't understand and fear what they don't know. And I know that can get really, really scary for people. When people are scared, sometimes they lash out. So it makes sense.
And that's like all it is at the end of the day. So when you know that, but it takes so much maturity to like when you're in those situations and you're getting like hounded by these family members and stuff like that. You're just like, I just work here.
Yeah, I'm just also trying
relaying
to do
orders.
Yeah.
This is what the doctor wanted, And a lot of time it was hard because it was kind of like the family, and then maybe their like grandma or their mom needed to go and have like care 24/7 because of their dementia or Alzheimer's getting worse, and that's always like so hard. Or like they think that they can take care of them themselves. They just want to do so much, which is so sweet. You know what I mean? Like I remember having this one guy, and his mom was just like totally, just gone. Like she was even like one of the mean ones, like pinching me and stuff like that. But I'm like, oh, you're so cute. Like I love you because like
you can't hurt me.
Yes,
you're an old lady, sweet little, mean little old lady. But
apparently, if you're like very nice and like a very sweet person, when you get dementia, you're very mean.
Oh.
So when I get the mean ones, I'm like, I know that you were a sweet pea then.
I'm gonna take care of you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna love on you.
And I'm like, because like then I'm like, when they're mean to me, I'm like, oh, I know that you're just like confused. Like you just like are trying to be nice, but it's getting confused.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like that's what it is at the end of the day, But these poor like I totally understand. Like if that was my mama, I'd be doing everything to try to care for her. But I think people need to also understand there's help out there.
Yes.
Like there's amazing people who do stuff like this. They're there to help. You're not alone. And taking care of your parents, you know what I mean? You can have help. There's such a caregiver burden out there, and that's what I would see a lot with people. A lot of the caregivers would take it out, you know what I mean? But as a nurse, the best thing that you can do is just accept that they're trying to do the best for their family member.
Yeah.
That's all it is at the end of the day.
I think that takes a lot of maturity and emotional maturity and intelligence to really understand. It's like to not take that personally, because it's really hard. It's kind of different when you're a teacher. Like, it's the same, but it's different. Because at the end of the day, you understand that at the end of the day, everyone just wants what's best for the kid.
Yeah.
There's, like, a whole other layer of, like, when you're in medicine, there's no way that the parents can do what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They can't perform the surgery. They can't prescribe medication.
Yeah.
Because they're not licensed to.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to teaching, they also are usually not licensed to teach, but they think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case. And
all
I'm like,
the time.
Mm-hmm. There's like it's the worst.
Yeah, and that's why it's like, just come at them with like, that's why I tell people, my favorite thing to do is just like I love people making informed decisions.
Yeah.
You can decide whatever you want to do.
Whatever's best for you
but
and
just
your
know I'm going to
family.
talk your ear off for an hour and tell you like all of the 10 billion different possibilities, different things, so that you have all the information that you need to go and make the best decision for you. That's all I care about. I just want you to have those options.
Did you see, I know Jen posted this like a long time ago, and she posted something about how there was this person on Facebook who was trying to cancel Jen because she wanted her patients to have all the information possible for every single thing. And they accused her of trying to manipulate her patients into changing their minds. And she's like, no, I'm just always going to make sure all of my patients have every option and all the information for every option, because that's what I feel like a good medical provider is going to do. And some people most people, of course, were like, no, you're right. But some people were like very adamant about, no, if they say that these are their beliefs or this is what they want, like you should not give them other information. Like, what is your opinion on that?
Oh yeah, totally. That's what you actually like will learn this through nursing, because you go into nursing, you want to help people, like that's okay, and the doctors do this all the time because doctors take a Hippocratic oath,
right?
And they always try to do all of these treatments, all of these things to like really help a patient, where sometimes it's not even what the patient really wants at the end of the day, and family members can project that too, you know what I mean, onto other people. That's why it's so important for like the patient to really be like the focus, you know what I mean? I would have so many like patients where it'd just be like the family members are imposing so much, where it's like, did they really want this? You know what I mean? So, it's just a part of like giving people all this information to make their own decisions. I think it's totally, I realized so early on in my nursing career that I can't change people.
Yeah.
Like I would have these, like, because I worked, like the population around St. Pete where my hospital was, homeless, drug addicts, on the streets, like that, those were my patients, and I love them to death, like wouldn't have it any different way. So they were like, you learn really quick with them because they have these personalities that are like very bold, but they won't. I would have guys that would come in and be like in their 80s and they'd be like still doing drugs, and I'm like,
hey,
are you ever gonna change?
You gotta chill out, my guy.
No. And they've been told their whole lives that it's awful for them, and they won't stop. So just embrace them where they're at.
I feel like also when it comes to people, and this is not a general statement, this is not an absolute statement, but I feel like a lot of people, when they have specific ideas of like what they want medicine wise, I think it's very easy to have an opinion when you're not faced with a life or death situation. I think it's very easy for a lot of people to say, oh, this is what I think, or this is what I believe. I'm trying to pick my words carefully because I don't want it to be misconstrued either. Because sometimes people will hold their beliefs until the very end, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But I think that there are also some cases where people have a set of beliefs of, I don't want, I'm trying to think of an example that's not like a pointed example, like chemicals in my body. I don't need all the drugs. I don't need all the XYZ. But then when it comes to like, okay, well,
you're really in
I
pain.
don't want blood transfusions, like those kinds of things.
Oh, totally.
And that's fine. If that's your belief, that is fine. And there are people who hold that until the very end. But there are also situations when faced with like okay, that's fine, but you may die without this. Sometimes people, well, actually, hold on. And that's also okay.
Right?
That's also
totally.
fine.
I've had
There's
a patient do that before, too. Or that's kind of how it is sometimes with, like, a patient that's like, I do not resuscitate. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, but it's like, that's exactly what they want. So,
exactly.
It's all about
exactly.
that.
And that's totally fine. I think sometimes people will look down on people who like change their minds last minute. And it's like, why? Like you're never too old to learn and grow and learn something new and decide you want something different for yourself. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But can you think of any last minute examples, last minute stories you think are worth sharing about how we treat nurses, or anything that you want people to know about nursing or surgical nurses specifically?
Before that, we're just like how much we just really do with patients. We're really right there with the patients, working with them, hearing their stories, fixing their band-aids, wiping their tears, fixing up their boo-boos, dressing their wounds, whatever they need. So, we're really right there with them, and you learn so much about people. So much. So it's a crazy world, but it's so worth it. You learn so much about people, and like being in the hospitals, like my mom, she worked as a dietitian in the hospital too, so we always talk about how it's like pretty much like a whole like little town. You know what I mean? Because you see the same people every week, but not every day, but you're like, I know they work here, so like you really foster a whole community with like the respiratory therapists, your dietitians, doctors, physical therapy, occupational therapy. Like you work with everybody and anybody, and like that is like truly such a special thing. Also, you get to work with like a bunch of different cultures. Like I met people that were born in Jamaica or from Thailand or born in the Philippines. All my different coworkers just were different ethnicities, so like just being immersed in different people's cultures, like Filipino, like whatever it is, you know what I mean, just so special to like be really immersed in all the different vibes and culture.
love
So
that.
yeah, nursing's fun. It's a crazy world, but
It's worth it.
It's so worth it. If it interests you, go for it. Don't
love
let.
that.
I remember I was first starting out. I used to be a medical assistant when I first started. So like CNA first, and then you do like you can do medical assisting, and you can kind of draw blood, and give injections, and give medications. You can do a few more things than like a CNA can. I remember I was working at a children's hospital, and one of the advanced practice registered nurses, so like, you know, she's got her like doctorate in nursing and stuff too. I was like, what's like the best advice like you would give to someone who like wants to go in nursing school? And she looked at me and she just goes, don't. I was like,
veteran teachers give the same answer.
Yeah, which I'm like, girl, I get it, but like, girl, like, I don't get it at the same time.
I think nurses and teachers both are a part of such a broken system that no one knows how to even start fixing. And it's just kind of, hey, we're drowning over here, but like there's no lifeboats. It's like, okay, sounds good, thanks.
We'll catch you on the flip side.
I guess it is what it is. Yes. But thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks for having me.
And where can people... I don't think we talked about where people can find you on social media.
Yeah, pretty much everything is linked on my Instagram. So my Instagram is JENNYY and then NIEMANN.
Oh, perfect.
So,
well, thanks so much for hanging out.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys are obsessed with Jenny as I am. I love this woman. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, my lovelies.